Hi, welcome to another edition of Counterpunch with Trevor Loudon. We're here investigating the ongoing communist revolution across the world and hopefully working to roll it back. Please like the show, share the show, especially this one. This will be one of the scariest shows I've done, and I think that's saying something. So, America is now facing war on several fronts. North Korea, China. North Korea is threatening the Pacific, threatening Japan, threatening the United States. You have China threatening the South Pacific, holding a big naval exercise with Russia right off the coast of Hawaii. You have Russia threatening to take back the Baltic states, the Ukraine, etc. I think the whole of Europe, personally. And then you have Iran threatening the Middle East, Israel and Saudi Arabia. So all of these countries are allies, we have to understand. You know, China and Russia held the world's biggest military exercise together a couple of years ago outside St. Petersburg. They're both members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, a big political, military and economic alliance. Iran is an observer to that organization. These countries are working together and their number one enemy is the United States. And what is keeping the peace to some degree is that America still has a strong military. Even though Obama had 8 years to purge a lot of good generals from the military, the Biden administration is now purging the ranks of conservatives and patriots. America's military is still strong. But what if there were people overseeing the military that maybe couldn't be trusted, that had friendly relationships with hostile foreign powers? Would that be a cause for concern? Well, today I'm going to look at the Armed Services Committee. That is the committee in the US Congress that oversees the military. Before we get into this, just remember there are no background checks in Congress. There's no security clearances, no nothing. Beyond elections, these people have no vetting whatsoever, and many of them come from the hard left. So do you think possibly some hostile foreign powers might try and make friends with some of these committee members, might try to form relationships with them, maybe try and blackmail or compromise them? In any future war, wouldn't it be great for America's enemies to have people it could trust serving on the Armed Services Committee? Well, I want to highlight some people today that I think have problematic ties. You tell me after you've watched this what you think in the comments section below. The first one I'm going to look at is a man called Joe Courtney from Connecticut. Now, he is a chair of the Sea Power and Projection Forces Subcommittee of the Armed Services Committee. He's very heavily involved in overseeing Navy and Marine acquisitions, what they buy, the equipment they use. He has a very strong interest in submarine technology because his state builds submarines. He's a very influential guy in the committee and has access to all sorts of secrets. Now, Joe is friendly with several members of the Connecticut Communist Party. And before we go on, we need to understand the Communist Party basically runs Connecticut. It's very, very powerful, is involved with almost all of the Democrats there. The Communist Party, USA, is now loyal to China. It still has relationships with the old Communist Party of Russia, still very close to Russia, still has close connections to Cuba and Venezuela and the Iranian Communist Party, etc., the Iraqi Communist Party, very sympathetic to North Korea. So it's a pro-Chinese Communist Party. They're completely loyal to China. Their loyalty to China far transcends any slight loyalty they may have to the United States. So here's Joe Courtney, a man with access to a huge amount of naval secrets. He would be a very valuable man for the enemies of this country to get to know. So here's Joe with a man called Tom Connolly, one of the leaders of the Hartford, Connecticut Communist Party, long-time communists. Do they look friendly? And here's Joe with Wenheimer. Wenheimer is also a leader of the Connecticut Communist Party, an ex-military man, but a communist through and through. Wenheimer, in this photograph, labelled himself as a friend of Joe Courtney. They look pretty close too, don't they? Joe Courtney is very close to the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans. That's an organization for former unionist retirees lobbying governments, state governments on behalf of, retired people, the elderly, etc. And it's completely run in Connecticut by the Communist Party USA. Here is a picture of Joe with Winheimer, also of the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans, and Edie Fishman, another member of the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans and a Communist Party member. And here is Joelle Fishman, the daughter of Edie Fishman, the head of the Connecticut Communist Party and the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans.
I joined the Communist Party as a teen during the upsurge of the 1960s to end white supremacy, the war against Vietnam, and win union rights. In the Communist Party, I found a home that not only struggles day to day, but has a vision for a better future. The brutality of Trumpism threatens to turn back all the rights fought for and won during the freedom struggle so far. That's why I'm proud to be all in with the Communist Party to organize a massive and united voter turnout in the historic 2020 elections.
Joelle Fishman is a wife of a man called Art Perlow, another Communist Party member. His father was Victor Perlow. He was a very famous Soviet spy in World War II Washington, head of the Perlow spy ring. So Joe Courtney's got some interesting company, don't you think? Let's go down to Texas. Marc Veasey of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's also a member of the Armed Services Committee. Spent a lot of time trying to get illegal immigrants admitted to the armed services. Wonder why anyone would want to do that. Now, he's also very close to the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans. They got him elected. He goes to their meetings. He's a regular, very, very close to this organization. They put up yard signs for him. They do all sorts of stuff. The head of the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans just happens to be a man called Gene Lantz, a very senior member of the Northern Texas Communist Party. Gene was in the Socialist Workers' Party. He's the pro-Cuban Trotskyists. He's now a fully fledged Communist Party member. His wife Elaine is very close to the Communist Party too, and they both work in the Democratic Party, as is common amongst Communist Party members. But here's Mark describing Gene Lantz as a friend. Here's a montage of pictures of Gene Lantz and Marc Veasey at various venues around Texas. They're very, very close. And here's a very intimate picture of Marc Veasey with Gene Lantz and Elaine Lantz. So here's another member of the Armed Services Committee with a very close relationship with a member of the Communist Party USA, a pro-Chinese Communist Party. Could there be an issue here, do you think? Now here is Seth Moulton, former military officer from Massachusetts. Seth Moulton co-chaired the Future of Defense Task Force, a big review of America's future military needs. You think he might have got a little bit of interesting information doing that work?